Hey there everybody, welcome back to another episode of What Is, a video series where I give first looks and reviews on video games that I have played recently. This is a special episode where I'm going unscripted and just have some light bullet points to keep me on topic. It's because I just got done playing the demo tonight and I'm just excited to dive right into this video game that we're going to talk about. Today we are going to discuss what is Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is a PS5 exclusive that's coming out on April 26th of this year. We got the demo drop today on March 29th, about almost a month before the game releases. It gives us a good idea of what the game is going to be. It's a third-person action RPG. It takes influences from Nier, Bayonetta, and Dark Souls, but more so, at least where we were with the demo, it felt a lot more grounded in the Dark Souls sense, more so than Nier and Bayonetta. We play as Eve. She's a member of the 7th Airborne Squad, and they're on a mission to take back Earth from these strange monsters called Natiba. They are ambushed. They, being the 7th Airborne, are ambushed on their way into the atmosphere of Earth, where near everyone dies on this approach. It's kind of insane how underprepared this supposed elite squad of military personnel just got screwed. I assume it's either bad intel or complete surprise attack on them because they just were not prepared. The ships only had shields on the noses of them, not around the whole ship. It was a shit show. I don't want to go too much into the story itself, but essentially we're following the story of Eve as she tries her best to clear the Natiba off from Earth, to take the world back for humanity, and I guess make things right for the people who once lived there. I don't know much about the story from there. I'm curious about what these Natiba are, where they came from. They look a lot like bugs and things you would find on Earth already, so I'm not sure if they are like the lizard people, or they're going to rise from the ground and that's what happened, or what. I hope we get more information on that as the game progresses when it does come out. The demo itself was fairly short overall in the grand scheme. I spent about an hour and a half with it because I took things nice and slow. I took in the environment. I was reading things, you know, doing my due diligence and just being a fanboy in general. But you could probably finish in about 40 minutes if you really just kind of rush through. What was there though, it has me wanting more. Obviously the story's got me asking questions. Combat was a ton of fun in this game. I really enjoyed it. Progression system seems to be solid. The music is just so damn good. It's coming from the mind of the composer of the Nier Automata series. I believe also the first Nier game as well. I may butcher his name, Keiichi Okabe. It might be his name. I could be screwing that up and I do apologize. But the music in Nier, for whatever you might feel about Nier Automata, the music is stellar across the board. You cannot deny that. And if you deny that, I don't think you have working ears. But they are working on the soundtrack for this game and it is fantastic. The way it blends in, you know, just nice and melodic in the background as you're exploring, and it kicks up and it you know, just swells whenever you're in combat, and it fully kicks in with the vocals and the rest of your instruments and stuff. It's very well done. And when you go into the rest sites for this game where you rest with Eve and you get all your potions back and get your health back and stuff, it switches the style of it to something like, you know, old-timey that you would hear through a record player back in the day. It's the same song, it's just in a different style, and it works so well. The music just blends so well with the environment, what you're doing with the game as well. I really enjoyed it, and I've probably ranted too long about the music, but it's going to be one of those things that people will remember most about this game. I can guarantee it. When it comes to the combat, I mentioned earlier that this game is a little bit more grounded like Dark Souls. And that's how I feel when it does come to the combat. The game looks flashy and you can do these combos and stuff, and you can mix between the light attacks and the heavy attacks and do different combos and stuff. But really and truly, where the nitty and gritty and where the people are going to get good at this game, and what's going to separate the people who are just playing through it to get through it to really master the combat, is going to come down to parrying and perfect dodging. Once you can master those, you're going to open up so many doors in this game when it comes to the combat, executing just flashy moves and different things of the sorts. Parrying and perfect dodging are just, they're very rewarding visually and audio wise, it's just dopamine hit after dopamine hit. If you can get that parry, you just that ping and the yellow flash across the screen feels good. You get a perfect dodge, everything kind of darkens around Eve, and you get a red flash coming off of her, and it slows down a little bit, but it just feels good, and you just know you hit that perfect dodge, and it's awesome. And if you are able to execute either of those, it fills up a bar of Eve's beta gauge is what they're calling it. And once that's filled up so far, you're able to use some of Eve's special abilities. Some of these abilities are great because they take down shields for the enemies. They're just wide arcing attacks, which are helpful for taking on massive enemies of people, or they just do straight up a bunch of damage to someone, either straight in front of you or you send out a projectile from yourself, but they do a bunch of damage to the enemies. And there's options. There's options for different situations, and using the right one in different situations is very nice. But holding on to those abilities is nice too, because there are certain attacks from enemies that can only be interrupted by using one of these special abilities with Eve's beta gauge. So not expending your full bar is always probably going to be better. Having one of those on deck in case you need to interrupt an enemy because you aren't able to get that parry or that dodge off at the right time. But that's what it comes to the combat. It's shallow on the surface, but I think it's going to be surprisingly deep once people actually get their hands under the full product of the game. When it comes to enemy variety, it's gonna be kind of insane, I feel. They haven't said how many bosses there are, but they've said that there's a lot of bosses, and I'm excited for those because those guys look sick. In the demo, you're able to play against 3 different bosses. First guy got big old red balls on his hands. He just punches you with them. It's kind of sick. Second boss, he looks kind of like a pincher bug that you would see like in sandboxes growing up. I don't know their official term, but we call them pincher bugs. He can call lightning. He's got like this, he just looks cool. He looks like a pincher bug that calls lightning. I don't know what better way to describe it. And then the last boss that you can get after you actually complete the demo, it's a little boss testing, lets you test some of the higher end abilities. He looks like Chainsaw Man in monster form. Say less, right? It's pretty much all I gotta say about him. But they all 3 of the boss designs look cool. But then you get down to the standard enemies and some of the elite enemies, I guess, in the game. The people that you would come across as you're traversing through the levels of the game. And they look super cool too. There's this little centipede, roly-poly looking things. There's these creatures that kind of fuse with the statues that were around the world. There's this ant looking thing that has a big old shield as an arm and has a claw at the end, and he like has 3 attacks. They all look so well designed. I can't wait to see what else there is in the game. And from looking at the logs in the game, looks like we're going to have probably close to 40, almost 50 different types of enemies when everything's said and done, including bosses. And that's awesome. Having that much different design for enemies in the game. Now, some of them will probably behave the same, but overall, just having a log of almost close to 50 enemies to fill up, that's going to be exciting. Enemy variety is key, especially in a game like this where you're fighting things a lot. Keeping it fresh is going to be crucial to keeping people interested through the end of the game, for sure. Progression, I'll touch on that real quick. It seems that with the level up system, it's focused on mainly giving you increased skills for Eve to use, whether it be skills to use with her beta gauge, unlocking more and further combos, doing more damage with your attacks, or just having more shields, everything of those sorts. From what I can gather and from what I saw, and I may have missed it, in the skill trees, there's no way to really increase your health or your beta gauge. The only way to increase those is to finding these cores throughout the world and throughout the map as you're exploring. It seems like every 3 cores will increase, either your health or your beta gauge, depending on which ones you find. So I'm not sure if that's in the skill trees at all. We had access to 3 skill trees to take a look at, and there's 2 other skill trees that were completely locked off. We couldn't see what was in there at all. So maybe there's options to upgrade your health and shields within there, or your beta gauge within there, but only time will tell. Game again releases on April 26th. I'm excited. I am definitely going to be playing this. I am hoping to possibly do a full review on this for you guys. So stay tuned to the channel, and stay tuned for other first looks and reviews in the future. I'm trying to get these out at least once a week, if not twice a week, of different first looks, which are, you know, demos or early access games, and then full reviews. That's, you know, games that are fully released, and giving my full thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to the channel to get notified of those. Leave a comment down below. Like this video if you liked what you saw and heard and all that fun stuff. Stop on by. I try to stream multiple times a week, as much as I can, as schedules allow and videos allow, but I stream both to here and Twitch. So give us a follow, come on through, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye now.